Musical Fidelity, a British company that's been designing and innovating hi-fi product for over 3 decades. A flick through the company's history tells an interesting story. They have many interesting products and different design ideas, both visually and engineered. The company MD himself highlights the company's philosophy. For me, the electronics are paramount and the quality of sound reproduction is the holy grail. Musical Fidelity have created many products over the years with the aim to give people what they want. They have created many classic products and many classic amplifiers, from budget to valve to huge powered transistor design. However, it is a hybrid design we are currently reviewing. The company's current flagship amplifier, the Musical Fidelity New Vista 800.
Britannia, Britannia, rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves.
Hello and welcome to Pursuit of Perfect System. This is the review for the Musical Fidelity New Vista 800 integrated amplifier, part of our Best of British series, which is why we have the Union Jack flag in the background. This is the first product from Musical Fidelity I've spent any time with, and I really hope it's not going to be the last. Let's look at the design of this integrated amplifier. We're going to start with the rear of the amplifier, because look at that. Look at that for a rear of an amplifier. Now, any company that puts this much effort into the rear of their product says a lot, doesn't it, for the more important areas like the insides and maybe the front. But let's start at the rear. Let's look at those connections. First of all, let's look at it aesthetically. That is a really lovely design, obviously, for a rear of an amplifier, isn't it? Look how nice that is. And let's look at the connections. We've got very nice terminals, very nice input terminals here, nicely spaced out with good space in between each one, kind of between the separate left and right, and each individual input. And we've got a lot of inputs there, obviously, to choose from, balanced inputs as well. Looking at our speaker binding posts, I like where these are. These are nicely spaced out, you know, massive distance apart, obviously, from each other, and also good distance apart, you know, from each individual cable. I'm not a massive fan of this style of binding post. However, if we look actually at the quality of the binding post from this actual style, from this manufacturer, I think this is, I dare say, this is the highest quality that you can buy. It's a really nice copper that they've used with this. It look, maybe something like red copper or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But if you actually look at that, it's really nice, and kind of it colour matches the back plate as well. So I'm sure it's used a little bit for aesthetic appeal, but a little bit for performance as well. We've got our IEC inlet at the bottom, you know, completely separate and away from our speaker cables and our interconnect cables, so we can wire our amplifier up neatly, and, you know, tick off the OCD audio file box of keeping things away from each other and nice and neat. Okay, looking at the top of the amplifier now, this is really something. This is a really fantastic and nice design. Firstly, the engraved Musical Fidelity logo. That's a really lovely touch. That is really nice, kind of in its own recessed area on the top plate, but that's just a start. Then we've got really nice grills. You know, nothing special with the grills, but the way it's kind of milled into like a section here, which is really nice, and the way you can see through the grills to see the amplifiers either side, and you can partially see the toroidal transformers in there as well. And it's, to me, it's like a tease. You know, you want to see more, want to be able to see the whole design, and you find yourself kind of looking inside, trying to find a light, you know, if that makes sense, to get in there and have a look. But to me, that's just like a little tease. It just gives you a little bit of an idea of what you've bought, you know, of what you're listening to. When you look down inside the amplifier, you can see the toroidal transformers, which are huge. There's 2 of them in there, and you can see the amplifier board. You can see, I think, the transistors here on the top. That is really lovely, and you can kind of see the capacitor banks and stuff. Really nice, that we all want to see inside our kit, don't we? And the way this is done is very classy, very elegant. And to top it off, we then have the section here, which we can see through and see our tubes. So, you know, other manufacturers, for a top plate, this is how it's done. Fantastic, really lovely. Okay, then let's look at the sides of the amplifier. I think that's important to see. If you have a look at the side of the amplifier, it follows the design, obviously, of the front, being very clean and very clinical in the finish on the sides of the amplifier. Very nice, and, you know, make for a massive, great big heat sink as well as part of the design. So the side of the amplifier, the side profile for the amplifier is also nice. Front of the amplifier is going to split opinion. It's a very kind of chunky and industrious design. The actual fit and finish of the front and the fit and finish of the whole amplifier is outstanding. It's really a fantastically finished product, as we would expect, as we should expect at this price, but we don't always get. But the actual aesthetic appeal, I feel, of the front, it's going to split opinion. Just the way it is. It's kind of, I say, so chunky and industrious. I think you potentially Marmite. I think you love it or you hate it. One thing that is really nice on the amplifier is these knobs. There's a certain YouTuber that would be making very funny noises playing around with these knobs, if you know who you are or you know who I'm talking about. They are really nice. They've got a lovely feel to them, very solid, very reassuring, and you get great kind of feedback between each individual click of those. And then we've got 2 buttons and our main display on the front. So overall, externally, the fit and finish on this amplifier is outstanding. Now there's a couple actually of extra touches that this amplifier does, and you wouldn't expect it. And again, you either like it or you won't. But to me, one of them is fantastic. On the inside of the amplifier, if you choose that setting, you get like a green glow, which kind of marries up with the glow from what we get around our tubes. Now, that is beautiful. That is a really nice idea. It's very subtle, but also very nice. And again, it helps you to look inside the amp and just adds a touch of class. Now, that green glow also extends kind of out the bottom here and to the front of the amplifier, which actually reminds me of, I'm sure everybody's seen the Fast and the Furious, the original film, where you've got the black Nissan cars, whatever they are, with the green neon glows underneath them. It just reminded me of that. So that'll probably give you a little bit of an idea of what you get. You basically get a green glow at the front of the amplifier, maybe shining on your rack or shining on the floor, depending obviously on where it is. So that's okay. To me, I take it or leave that one, but the green glow on the inside is fantastic, and the glow around the tubes, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I would never tire of looking at that. That's a really lovely touch. It's a great idea. It's a great design feature. It's a real touch of class as well. Okay, let's talk about the basic specification of this amplifier. It has 330 watts of power at 8 ohms per channel. It's a lot of power. It has a THD of 0.005%. It's a very low distortion, and it weighs an absolute ton at 39 kilograms. It's a big, heavy amplifier. This is a dual mono design amplifier. We have one very large toroidal transformer per channel, so 2 in total, and we have a separate preamplifier section within the amplifier. One nice touch and feature of this amplifier is it has a home theater bypass. What's really interesting and unique about this amplifier is that it uses new Vista tubes. New Vista tubes were invented in the 1950s to overcome the shortfalls of the normal tube. They offer very high reliability, low microphoning, very low noise. They are small with low power consumption. However, around the time that new Vista tubes were being explored, the transistor was born, and we all know what happened to audio products after that. Musical Fidelity started using new Vista tubes about 15 years ago, and the original products that they designed and made sold out in months, and they still command a high price today on the second-hand market. However, they feel with this line of products, with the combination of new Vista tubes and modern day technologies, surface mount designs and quality engineering practices, this is the highest performing amplifier that they have made. Okay, live with ability, this amplifier. Now this is actually, a little bit of hard work to live with as an amplifier. For starters, it's a big and heavy amplifier. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're going to put this amplifier in existing racks, make sure you measure. And also it generates a fair amount of heat. Now, in my opinion, too much heat for those very, very hot days. But it's summer now. It's been kind of medium hot and it's been absolutely fine. The big one for this amplifier is it takes quite a while to warm up. Now, it even states in the manual that it takes about a half hour. And when we first start the amplifier up, we have a lovely on cycle. If you notice, the LEDs around our tubes start off red and once the startup cycle is finished, they click over to yellow, and they stay yellow until they've hit their optimum temperature, and then they turn over to green. And even then, to me, that is not when the amplifier sounds its best. Probably another 20 minutes or so after that is really when this amplifier starts to sound its best. But for me, the fact that those LEDs change colour as the amplifier warms up, you don't need it because you can hear it, but it's a really nice touch. Again, it's like to me, it's like a touch of class. You know when the amplifier is going to sound its best. So to me, this is one of those products. It makes sense to turn it on, go away, come back in half hour, 40 minutes time, or I'll put it on 40 minutes or so before you wanna have a listening session. Now, you can use the amplifier straight away. You can use it when the tubes are yellow. You can absolutely use it. It's fine. It sounds okay, but the magic really doesn't start until well after the LEDs around the tubes have turned green. One thing that I noticed, which wasn't an issue at all, but something I felt to point out, I was getting quite a bit of transformer hum. Obviously from the amplifier, not audible when there's music playing, but audible up close when there's no music playing. The other thing I noticed with this amplifier, that the way it controls the volume is superb. It's like a half a dB per click. However, it's a little bit of a knack to getting it to do large volume increases or decreases. So if you actually give the wheel a bit of a spin, it generally seems to jump about maybe 10 decibels. So that's something to bear in mind. So as you click it, you're possibly either better off doing a real big jump or lots of kind of medium jumps in terms of volume up or down. So it's just a little something, at first it catches you out, but once you get the hang of it, you kind of build that into how you use the amplifier. I mean, most people probably use a remote control anyway, but I mean, I didn't have the remote control for this demo, so I was always using the volume control. Okay, let's talk about the sound quality of the Musial Fidelity new Vista 800 integrated amplifier. Now, if you've been watching my channel and if you've watched the reviews I've done for the Chord DAC series, all the positives of those DACs that I've mentioned are all positives of this amplifier, as this amplifier was used throughout that whole throughout the testing of all those DACs. That doesn't go far enough. I want to go into detail about just how good this amplifier is. Initially, I was a little worried with the power of this amplifier. KEF reference free speakers were only rated to 200 watts at 8 ohms, and this amplifier is 330 watts at 8 ohms, as previously mentioned. So when I first got the amplifier, I was very ginger with the volume control, no pun intended. So I was kind of creeping it up just gently, really worried that it was going to kind of blast the speakers out and stuff, and that is not what happened at all. The more I turned the volume up, the KEFs actually soaked up the power, and they seemed to absolutely love it. It's kind of, they couldn't get enough of the current, and the power delivery from this amplifier. And the first thing I noticed with this amplifier is the bass from the KEF reference speakers. Now, when I used the higher quality DACs from Chord, the bass from the KEF reference speakers was outstanding. This amplifier gave the bass, it gave the bass something I didn't know those KEFs could do. A big scale bass, big, rounded, full, powerful, articulate, controlled, delicate, and also insightful. All the things that I said about the Chord DACs are all completely relevant and obviously all caused really by this amplifier. The power of this amplifier is used fantastically well to drive the speakers and drive it for bass. Had I not tried this amplifier and done a review of the KEFs before this, I would have said the weakness of those speakers was the bass, and that would have been completely wrong. When you put a really high quality, high power amplifier like this on those speakers, they come to life in terms of the bass. So the bass control, the bass power, the bass delicacy, the bass articulation and insightfulness is all huge strengths of this amplifier. It's fantastic for bass, really is good. The bass was so clean, clear, fast and detailed. I don't know how I can go back now, funnily enough. It's going to be a difficult journey back from that. The second thing to mention about the sound of this amplifier is the mid-range. Now, I've had all different types of mid-range with this amplifier, but the real good mid-range that I've had has been big and full and rich and yet clean and clear at the same time, occupying its own space within the soundstage with a lovely character and realism and just a nice silky tone to it. The mid-range from this amplifier is outstanding. The soundstage from this amplifier is wide. And by wide I mean extra wide. Now each individual element within the soundstage has its own space, and the projection from the speakers out to the listening position is absolutely fantastic. I would say depth from this amplifier is very good, not the best. And the layering within the music and the layering of the details within the music is absolutely outstanding. Now a big one with the sound from this amplifier is the scale of the music. Now I don't just mean how big the sound gets, though that is one thing. I mean the scale of each individual element within the sound mix. A piano is big, or a trumpet is big, or a saxophone is big, or a set of drums or big, or a vocal is big, or a pipe organ is big. It doesn't matter what you listen to, with the right source material, with the right source quality, DAC, etc. The sound from this amplifier is huge in scale. And very believable and very palpable at the same time. And it's not just the scale that you notice, it's just like I think it's called the timbre, isn't it? The timbre of instruments, or just the tone and just the general character of each individual element within the mix is not only appealing and nice to listen to, but authentic at the same time. The next thing to talk about is the transparency of this amplifier. And if I just said this amplifier is transparent, period, that wouldn't be a lie. Straight away your speakers are transparent, they're invisible. The speakers are not there, but I would say the amplifier is invisible as well. It's not putting its signature on the sound, but I do think there is a touch of warmth there and a touch of colour there, but it's a welcome one. It's the sort of colour and warmth that makes music nice to listen to and makes music enjoyable to listen to. And for me, again, colouring the mid-range and colouring instruments and stuff, to me, makes them sound more authentic. There's nothing more unrealistic to me than a lean sound. And the next thing to mention is just how insightful this amplifier is. It's allowed me into music mixes more than I've had before. It's allowed me into bass quality far more than I've had before. And the layering of the music and how it's let me into the soundstage and how it's let me into the presentation. And I'd say how it's let me into how music has been mastered. It's all outstanding. It's all, some of the best that I've ever heard. Let's not forget the musicality of this amplifier, something that actually can't be measured, but just the way that music connects to you and how enjoyable it is to listen to. And with this amplifier, you get a lovely balance of everything. You get the good detail, good soundstage, good character. You get an enjoyable, interesting listen that makes you want to listen again and again, and it'll make you want to listen day after day. It's a fun listen, but it's also a serious listen. It's just a very nicely balanced amplifier with a lovely tone, lovely amount of detail, a great amount of bass, and a really nice amount of bass with a lovely smooth character. It never steps over, never steps out of line, but yet it gives you what you give it. It really feeds in what you feed out. So that's something to bear in mind. That's very important. With this quality of amplifier, you're going to need to pay attention to your source, and you're especially going to need to pay attention to your DAC, because that does make a really big difference to what you get from this amplifier. But that's something to bear in mind. If you're not getting it, if you're not getting what I say you can get from this amplifier, then I wouldn't point the finger here. You want to be pointing the finger elsewhere, because this pretty much gives you everything that you're going to want from an amplifier. And that really is the only negative point I feel with this amplifier, in the sense that you're going to have to pay attention to what comes before it. This has the ability to punish a poor quality source, or maybe poor quality DACs, etc. But at the same time, it's probably going to get you the very best out of those as well. So I'll just finish by saying this is an absolutely superb integrated amplifier. It's an absolutely superb amplifier. It sounds brilliant. It's got a lovely tone. I've really enjoyed the time I've spent with it. It's a great product from Musical Fidelity. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, conclusion for the Musical Fidelity new Vista 800 amplifier. Now, this has been a really great product to spend time with. I've really enjoyed listening to it. I've really enjoyed reviewing other products with this integrated amplifier as part of the system, because it's been giving me a very clear and easy insight into what those other products have been doing, the core DACs that we reviewed as part of our Best of British Hi-Fi series so far. Now I want to say this, being a bit of a hi-fi snob, this has changed my opinions on integrated amplifiers. Now, I was always under the impression, or I always thought, that an integrated amplifier would be a bit of a compromise by comparison to a pre and power combination, and that's what I've always run. It's slightly different setup obviously, but that's what I've always used. But I completely go back on that thought now. You know, this quality of integrated amplifier kind of makes a preamp power combo redundant. Obviously it doesn't, but the quality of this amplifier really is up there with very high quality preamp power combination. This really is proof that if an integrated amplifier is done right, it can perform to an exceptionally high level. Now I've got to clap. Musical Fidelity, you have done an outstanding job with this amplifier, and you claim it is a product of passion, and it really comes across like that. It's a beautifully made and a beautifully crafted piece of hi-fi equipment, and you look at it and you look at the quality of the top, you look at the quality of the back. Whether you like the front or you don't, you can still appreciate just how high quality it is. You've got a whole host of different options to turn a display on and off and change your LEDs and stuff like that. So you've really thought about each individual's preferences. Someone like myself wants to be pitch black, or someone actually wants to have it all lit up and and kind of stand out. So little touches like that are really welcome, and they show that you've thought about how it's going to be used and the different people's opinions of what they might actually want from a visual point of view. Now I must say again, I absolutely love the way that the tubes section lights up, and again the way you can see into the amplifier. You can see enough but never quite enough, and that is like little tease in terms of makes you want to look in there again and again just to see if you can see something else next time. So at this level of hi-fi, the finish has to be exceptional, and it has to have that little bit extra, I think, magic, not just in its performance but in its visual appeal as well, and this really does tick that massive box. But really it's the sound quality of this amplifier which has got me smitten. The bass is phenomenal. I've been so impressed with the bass from McKev speakers, but really that's all down to this amplifier driving those speakers like I've never heard an amplifier drive them before, and it actually proves a point really that having a more powerful amplifier makes sense. But it's not just the bass that's good. Everything else from the sound presentation from this amplifier is good. It's got a lovely balance of delicate and powerful. It's got a lovely balance of smooth but interesting. It's got a lovely balance of space and yet fullness and richness. It's got a lovely balance of soundstage and yet believable in the elements. Everything there is believable. And with the a very high quality DAC and this amplifier, I've had some of the best musical experiences, not only from that own system, the reference system, but from pretty much any other system that I've heard. So when you start getting experiences like that with products like this, you can't help but love it. You can't help but be in admiration for the quality of such a product. You can't help but want it. You can't help but want that product in your system. You really can't. This is a really great amplifier. It's really, really good. Right, but I can't skip over the price. This amplifier is near £9,000. So it's not cheap, but we have to bear in mind what we actually get for that money. And that is an investment. For a lot of people, that's an investment amount of money. For some, it's going to be way more than they'll ever spend. Other people might think, right, I'll invest in that, and that might be the amplifier that's going to see me out, for the rest of my life. So let's bear in mind what we actually get. Now, we are getting a pre and power performance from a single box. Now, it's a large box, but we're getting the kind of quality of sound and the power that you would get from a pre and power combo. That's a definite. We're getting a very high quality build in terms of not just the fit and finish, in terms of the quality of manufacturing. We're getting something that's unique in the sense we're getting a product that's using new Vista tubes in its buffer stage. So we're not going to get that elsewhere. They have long life. There's also no need to bias or bias them or any of that kind of hassle that you'd get with other tube products. So when you think about it, all of that added up with the sound quality that we get, and a product of this quality, that doesn't come cheap, does it? We all know that to get all of that in one package, it's not cheap, and it's going to cost us some money for that. So at around the £9,000 mark, this is a lot of money. However, you get a lot of products. You actually get a lot of products, but you get a lot of sound, and you get a lot of assurance, and you get a lot of reassurance that you're buying from, you know, a long established company. You know, I'm pretty sure you probably are guessing what's coming next. Here they are, here they are. You know, one there, one there, one there. I love this amplifier, it's brilliant. I've really enjoyed using it. It's the sort of amplifier which, from a review point of view, it seems perfect in a sense that already I feel like I've got a really good handle on its character and what it can do. And it's scaled all the way up from, you know, the chords, entry-level DAC, right up to their top of the range Dave DAC. And it's scaled itself all the way up and allowed me to hear the very clear and obvious differences between those 4 DACs. And it's gone the whole way, even to the point of, you know, the Dave DAC, the chord Dave, super high-end DAC, and this amplifier is still delivering with that DAC in the chain. And, you know, I could listen to it all day, I could listen to it all week, I could listen to it all month, I could probably listen to it forever. It's a phenomenal product. Musical Fidelity, this is a really great product from yourself. And again, I have to applaud you. You know, I love it. I think it's brilliant. I actually think it's beautiful. I love the little visual touches. I love the way it works. I love the controls. I love the on cycle. Everything about it is fantastic. I really can't find a flaw. Other than someone's going to take this away from me soon and I won't get to hear it again. That's the only flaw I can think of. Please don't take it away. Please let me keep it. Okay, so let's give this amplifier a rating. So it's pretty obvious that it's going to get a double thumbs up. Now, the next question with more relevance, would I buy this with my own money? And I've loved this so much. And for years, I've had an AV processor and a power amplifier as part of my system. Now, I would change that completely. I would look at a completely different setup to allow, you know, this amplifier in with its home theatre bypass, as I mentioned at the start, because I've had such great sound from it and from the KEF reference speakers with, you know, the high quality DACs that I've been testing. So 100% yes, I would buy this with my own money. It'll be a big, obviously it's a big investment, isn't it? But in my eyes, it's 100% worth it. I just want to make a quick mention that I had hoped to, as part of this review, especially talking about the design of the amplifier itself and the use of the new Vista tubes and stuff, I was hoping to bring you some content from someone from Musical Fidelity. Now, unfortunately that couldn't happen just because of logistics and stuff. I am still hoping to bring that to you. I'm still hoping to be able to give you that video. So what I'm going to do is hopefully I'll be able to make a follow-up video, obviously for this amplifier, with some, you know, information from Musical Fidelity themselves about the design and what's going on in here. Just last couple of comments really. I'd say if you're in the market for an integrated amplifier, anything around this price point, definitely demo this amplifier. It will not disappoint you at all. I'd also say if you're in the market for a pre and power combo around this sort of price point, demo this amplifier, because it will not disappoint you and it will take up a hell of a lot less space, need less power, etc, etc. So if you're in the market for this product or anything similar, please make sure you speak to Nintronics, the dealer, obviously, that loaned me this sample for review. They are brilliant to deal with. The customer service is fantastic and they're going to look after you.